All right. Welcome back, everybody, to Altcoin Daily, where, as you know, we bring you daily videos on everything altcoin, everything cryptocurrency. And today, I want to do something a little bit different. This video is not going to be for everybody, but I like to switch it up sometimes, bring you something a little bit different, sometimes keep things fresh. Today, what I want to talk about is John McAfee and some of his pretty interesting, his point of view on blockchain technology and his point of view on Bitcoin and the future. Now, maybe you guys know about John McAfee. If you don't know about him, maybe you at least know about him peripherally. But if you don't know about him, basically John McAfee, infamous in the cryptocurrency world for being a huge supporter of cryptocurrencies, but also shilling altcoins on his Twitter. Recently came out that he charges $100,000 per tweet to promote certain altcoins. Actually, I was just on Twitter. Our Twitter, if you wanted to follow us, is at altcoindailyio, at altcoindailyio. And Chris over here seems like a good guy. He just commented on one of our videos, what if there is no bull run? He says, enjoyed this video. And when you guys comment, I respond. So I'm going to like that. I'm actually going to retweet that. Say thanks, Chris. All right. So, but anyways, what was I talking about? I wanted to show you guys John McAfee. So, like I said, John McAfee, infamous in the cryptocurrency space. This is what I think about him. I don't trust him when it comes to specific altcoins because he's proven time and time again that part of his business model is he accepts money to shill cryptocurrencies, which is fine. Doesn't mean the cryptocurrencies are good or bad. It just means the reason he's doing it is because they are paying him money. But what I do respect more about John McAfee is his thoughts, generally speaking, on the cryptocurrency landscape. And so today I'm going to be sharing with you two videos. Actually, this video right here, it is an hour long, and this video right here, 45 minutes long. But I've managed to pick out about 5 minutes in this video and about 2 minutes in this video, and I think is really a valuable point of view that John McAfee has on cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. And you guys let me know what you think, because these are going to be his thoughts, but I think they're really interesting. So we're going to play 5 minutes of this one. We're going to play 5 minutes of this one. And yeah, this is just something to think about. You know, on this channel, I'm always trying to think about what is next for cryptocurrency. What's the space going to look like in 5 years? What's the space going to look like in 10 years? How is adoption going to happen? And as an investor, and even as, you know, as just somebody who's interested in the space, that's what you got to think about, because you don't need me to tell you the space is going to be different when it gets to be more user-friendly in a few years. Anyways, let's watch. Basically, in this video, John McAfee is getting interviewed by this guy. Pretty interesting channel, Valuetainment. He's actually a pretty good interviewer. He interviews a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of just interesting people. I'm going to subscribe right now, and actually, I should have liked this video before. I'm going to like it right now, but basically, they talk about a few different things. They talk about, this guy asked John McAfee, hey, the Wolf of Wall Street, Jordan Belfort, the real one, not Leonardo DiCaprio, hey, the Wolf of Wall Street, he said a lot of disparaging things about crypto, and he asked John McAfee to respond to that. And then he also asks John McAfee just like very logical questions as a businessman. Hey, what if regulations come up like this? And John McAfee answers them questions. So let's get into it. You guys tell me what you think.
Interesting perspective. So let's transition a little bit to Bitcoin, and then we'll wrap up. So when it comes to Bitcoin, you have been known as one of the bigger voices, if not the biggest voice in the Bitcoin world. And you've said, I think your prediction was by the end of 2018, you think Bitcoin's going to hit 78,000. I think your projection was 78,000 by the end of 2018. I think you said $1 million.
No, I didn't make a 2018 projection. I made a 2020 projection of 1 million.
I think you said 78,000 to somebody for 2018. I remember seeing 78,000. If I'm wrong,
Well,
I'm wrong.
You may have seen that, and it may have been written, but I promise you, I did not say that.
Quite a few people said $40,000, $50,000. You're probably even higher than that in your estimation if it's going to get to $1 million by 2020. They're saying $40,000, $50,000 by the end of 2018 is what many people are expecting now.
No, my figure's at 78,000 by the end of 2018.
Yeah, so are you familiar with Jordan Belfort? The guy, the Wolf of Wall Street?
Yeah, of course.
I interviewed him. I was at his place, and we were sitting down talking about Bitcoin. And I said, tell me what you think about Bitcoin and what's going to happen. He says, I am telling you, there are not a lot of things I have guarantees of. I guarantee you Bitcoin is going to have a sudden, from wherever it's going to go to all of a sudden nothing, and everyone's going to lose their butt, lose their tail. They're going to lose everything they have. You have a complete different perspective on Bitcoin because of the way you describe it. Tell me your point of view on Bitcoin. Why you think Bitcoin is going to go to $1 million by 2020?
Well, there are a bunch of ways to do it. The most common way is to take the number of users of Bitcoin, because as Bitcoin expands in its user base, both people who hold the coin and people who accept the coin for payment, it's skyrocketing. It's skyrocketing. So it's not going to disappear. It can't possibly go to zero. It can only grow as the user base grows. So it's impossible. Belfort, I don't know how smart he is, he's wrong. He does not understand digital currencies and how they work. Listen, it's Pandora's box. The box has been opened. The spirits are invading the room and they will not go back in. And you have to believe me, digital currencies will replace fiat currencies. Why? Good God, I have a wallet on my phone, which is an entire bank. Lending money, sending wires, I don't have to go to the bank. It takes me 10 seconds to do a wire, 10. I've got to go down to the bank, fill out a bunch of forms. No, that's nonsense, utter nonsense. Do you think that is going to go to zero and we're going to go back to this incredibly dull and bizarre way of using money with banks? Please God.
So I got a rebuttal for that one. A question for you. So for me, you know, I've been in the financial industry for a while. Series 766. I run an insurance company. We do pretty well for ourselves. The part that concerns me with Bitcoin, I really want to hear your rebuttal on this. When Jamie Dimon is touching $7 trillion of money per day of transactions, that's not just money, that's a lot of political power with a lot of countries that are connected to that $7 trillion.
Yes.
And so he is one phone call away from so many different prime ministers, presidents, kings, sheiks, whatever you want to call it, because he's touching all these money. I'm not talking small money, we're talking big money here. You know what I'm saying? $7 trillion. $7 trillion is a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
Okay, so
half of our gross domestic product.
If it goes in the direction of these 21 million, Bitcoins being used and 4 million's lost, I think, I don't know the number that was lost. I think it's 4 million of them that was lost, some number like that. Don't you think a guy like that and these guys who control elections and control all these other things, don't you think they're going to make a phone call and they're going to say, hey, listen, Mr. Congressman, Mr. Senator, you want to do this again? You got to make sure you take care of this thing. You cannot let this Bitcoin stuff take off the way it is. This is out of control already. Don't you think they're going to make those calls to figure out a way to do what they've always done, which is, listen, small business owner wants to compete with a big business owner. How do you beat them? Very simple. Big business owner goes to somebody and helps them out financially in the political side and says, listen, make the barrier to enter more difficult. How do you do it? More regulations, more licensing, more laws, more rules, more this stuff. And so the new guy cannot come and compete with this guy. He has, in a sense, a monopoly with two other companies, if you want to call it a monopoly. So that is my only concern with the argument you're making is...
But you're assuming that Congress can make whatever laws they want, obviously. They can outlaw Bitcoin. They can do what they want. You're assuming that there is a possibility of enforcing those laws. That's utter fucking nonsense. You cannot stop a distributed system that is worldwide. There is no law that you can make. If you had one person per citizen in the country, 400 million enforcers, you still couldn't do it. Well, because the enforcer will have to sleep for some point. It's not possible. Okay? Now, admittedly, the way that things were 6 months ago, when exchanges were centralized, you could shut down an exchange. You can't do that anymore. They've now decentralized exchanges. You can't stop it, you can't shut it down, and you can't know anything about it. So tell me, sir, how will you enforce these magical laws that Congress is going to make? Jamie Dimon has no power in this world.
So let me ask you this then, a follow-up to that. You remember what happened with China, right? When China was going through their, and Bitcoin dropped, I think, from 10,000 to 6,000. It came back up, obviously, to 10,000, but it dropped. And I think in an event or an interview, you said it dropped. That was one of the reasons, because China knew whatever it is that was linked to that. And then on top of that, they made it difficult for users to use Bitcoin to buy things. Okay, so go to that. So what if somebody says, let's make it difficult for these guys to use their Bitcoin? I don't accept Bitcoin. So then what happens to Bitcoin?
But how are you going to make it difficult? What are you going to do to make it difficult? That's my question.
I don't accept it.
Well, that's fine. Then you're not going to do business, because the guy who does, and you're not going to know what he's even accepting it. He's going to advertise on the dark web if he needs to.
So what if Chase comes and says, no problem, I own merchant services, authorize.net. They own it. I do business with authorize.net. Guess what? Your rates when you accept money from American Express, from Visa, MasterCard, is 1.25. You know how the numbers they have. But if you take Bitcoin, 6.75%.
But the banks don't even know what's happening. This is not through the banks. The bank's not involved. The bank has nothing to do with this. They don't even see it. It's an undercurrent, because once you get the exchanges distributed, nobody sees it.
Anyways, very interesting. What do you guys think about that? You guys should actually head over to, you guys should head over to Valuetainment yourself and check out this whole hour-long video if you wanted. This was John McAfee answering some of the tough questions. He's still very bullish on Bitcoin, and like I said, I don't necessarily trust his point of view when it comes to specific altcoins, but like me, he likes to think about the future and where this cryptocurrency is going. He's bullish, I'm bullish, none of us know for sure, but it's nice to speculate. Yeah, and if you guys appreciated me really chopping down this whole hour interview into about 5 minutes, 5 of the most important minutes, you're welcome. No problem. It was my pleasure. And lastly, I want to leave you with about just 2 minutes of this. This is something I've showed you this video once before, but I do think it's pretty valuable. John McAfee here, he just got done talking about, he was like, oh, when I basically told the story when I first heard about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, he was like, wow, that's very interesting. He became immediately interested, did some more research. And he's about to go into, he was like, my mind immediately goes to the most ultimate use case. And this is him talking about how blockchain technology in the future, the ultimate use case would be to record history. So no longer will the winners be able to dictate what happened in history. Now history will be preserved on a blockchain. Just very interesting, interesting stuff. Let's give it a listen. And after this video plays, I'm just going to end my video. So thank you guys again. This is Altcoin Daily. We'll be back with regular news and deep dives very, very soon. But yeah, sometimes it's nice to hear more like deep dives on other people's perspectives. Let's get into it.
One about Bitcoin is about the blockchain, because my brain always goes to the ultimate. Okay, what would the ultimate of the blockchain be? Would it not be an implementation in which history can no longer be rewritten? Because what is history? It's written by the conquerors.
Correct.
We know that.
Yeah.
So we know nothing about the truth of history. And yet history is all we have to base our actions, our beliefs, and our standards on, right? So right off the bat, that's where my mind went. Whoa, if we had every country in the world cooperate, then could you rewrite history? No. There would be no consensus to say, well, we have no idea. Seriously.
Yeah.
No idea about the truth of World War II, World War I, the Spanish-American War, all of the Chinese wars in which the emperor got to rewrite it. Here is the most extreme example. When the Spanish, quote, conquered Central America.
Okay.
The Mayans had hundreds of thousands of written books. All but 3 were burned.
Okay.
The Spanish were the conquerors. What do we know about the Mayans? Next to nothing other than from these 3 books. So imagine if we'd had the blockchain back then. Wouldn't have made any difference if the Spanish had burned all the books. We have a
Everything's
record in
recorded.
the blockchain.
Yeah.
Can't be changed.
Correct.
So that's what hit me. Go, now
Very interesting stuff. This is Aaron at Altcoin Daily. See you soon.